Kev, welcome to the build-up.
Thanks very much. I'm sure the community I'm sure they'll be fed up of seeing me. They'll be like, he's always on, this fella, but I love it. And do you know what I love about the build-up show? These seats. Do you know, I feel like Dr. Evil or something sat in this seat, but it's great. Hopefully, like you say, this game is on today. That's the main thing. Even if it has to be postponed by an hour or so to try and get the pitch right, we want it on, don't we? We want to hear Champions League music and Manchester United and Galatasaray going at it. So, yes, looking forward to it. Looking forward to the team news dropping, and we'll see what happens.
Loads of people in the chat are saying match is off, but I don't think it is. I think people are just trying to
catch us out. It's not happening.
Trying to have me on until somebody tells me we're thinking the match is still on. And like you said, a lot of people saying, would we play it tomorrow? Can't play it tomorrow because then Newcastle would have to be delayed, and that would affect the Premier League and it'd affect Newcastle. So I don't think they do that. I just don't even know what would happen, because we've got like 2 games a week for over the Christmas period. It's so busy, and the Champions League's group stages need to be played and things need to be done. So
they have had torrential rain in Turkey, which that's the main concern at this moment. But I mean, from what we're hearing here, it does seem that the rain has stopped. So it really depends on now, pitch-wise, how that falls out. We've seen the videos of the officials out throwing the ball up in the air just to see if there's any bounce, and it didn't look great. An hour ago, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking there is no way this game can be played, but we live in hope. We really do. We have to see, like I say, hopefully that the pitch can come up to some kind of standard, so we can get this game done.
Right, can somebody... Sorry, Kev, I don't want to be disregarding you, but I'm very confused at the start of this stream. Before, obviously, you said, we'll never get enough of you, Kev, don't worry on this. But everyone's saying that it's official that the match is off. So, is it or is it not? Is anyone trolling me in the chat, or is it on? Is it off? I'm being told it's still on. And everyone in the chat is saying it's been called off. So, I'm just going to go with the fact that it is still on for now.
We'll get producer Greg to check this very quickly, but I've been on the United stand a long time, and I know you should know as well, Beth, that this chat room, they can throw you.
Yeah, I think it's on. I think it's on still. We're going to go with that. We're going to continue. In just 2 minutes' time, we have some breaking news coming about the starting 11. I already know it. I'll let you a little secret. I already know it. Few people aren't going to be happy, is all I'm saying. A few people aren't going to be happy. Some of it you'll be happy about, some of it you might not be happy about. But, Kev,
I've got a feeling our very own Ricky won't be happy.
Yeah, maybe not.
Possibly.
Spoiler alert. We can't give much away.
Sorry.
But, Kev, before I read out this news, just give us 3 words to sum up how you want Man United to approach this game tonight.
Passion, fight, win. I was going to say desire at the end. It's a must-win game, isn't it, really, in that sense? So I have to throw win in at the end. We have to do everything. It really is on the edge. The fact that we've got Bayern Munich, the last game at Old Trafford, it could come down to that. Really, what we want is a situation where we go into that last game and it's up to us, really, to qualify. That's what it's all about.
Here we go. For everyone in the chat, very well done, Kev, by the way. Some wise words that the United players should take with them. For everyone in the chat, it is confirmed UEFA officials informed the guest team, Manchester United, that the match will be played. So everyone having me on in the chat saying it's getting called off, having me worried. It is confirmed by UEFA officials that the match will be played, which is exactly what we want to see. It's going to be bad conditions. It's going to be temperamental conditions. The ball might not move as much as it usually would, because obviously the pitch is going to be quite waterlogged, and it's going to be a tough game, but you've got to go out there and battle, you've got to fight, and it's a game that has to be played. But it also is 4:20, so the updates are here for you guys at home. Hojlund starts for Manchester United, Anthony starts on the right, and there is no Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo is not in the starting 11, which is really disappointing in my opinion. But they're the updates we can bring you now. Full starting 11 will be revealed at 4:30, so stay with us on the United stand. Initially, Kev, Anthony starts, Hojlund starts, and no Mainoo in the midfield. What are your opinions on that?
Can you tell by my face? I'm absolutely gobsmacked. I really am. I mean, I'm a firm believer in if it's not broke, don't fix it. I thought it was a great performance at Goodison Park on Sunday against Everton. We played great football. You talk about Kobbie Mainoo. he ran the show, man, for 70 minutes. Should have been man of the match. And you're thinking he's in contention to start Galatasaray. Now, what is Erik ten Hag thinking here? I'm not Erik ten Hag. I cannot get into his mind. Is he trying to protect him? I can't imagine for a moment it's an injury. Is he choosing somebody that in a Champions League away game at Galatasaray where it's going to be intimidating? But again, it goes against Everton on Sunday. You would have thought Mainoo's not started a Premier League game for Manchester United. He's thrown in. It was a hostile atmosphere, and it was water off a duck's back to Mainoo. He absolutely breezed through the game, effortless, really, really good at such a young age. But for some reason, Erik ten Hag has obviously got a different opinion. He wants to go differently, and I cannot honestly get my head around it. I've just scratched my head, and that is because I cannot get my head around why he's not in that starting 11. At the same time, on the forum after the match, I did kind of say, we don't want to put too much pressure on him. I don't know whether he's trying to take him out the limelight, but Mainoo's so good on the ball.
Good. I'm going to be honest. I get it. I get it in the sense of the fact that he's coming back from injury, and you really don't want anything to happen to him playing that close together. But at the same time, it's a must-win game, and he was generally our best player against Everton. He should have played. I think Ten Hag's bottled it maybe a little bit, but he is kind of a laptop manager when it comes to fitness. That might be why. Do you want to know who replaces him?
Go on.
Amrabat.
Right, okay. Makes
so Amrabat will
So
play.
what's he going with? Tried and tested, or let's say experienced in the middle?
He's going with his signing. He's going with experience. But for me personally, he's going for someone who is not as good. And I really like Amrabat, and I was so excited when he signed for us. But we've just not seen the Amrabat that I know and have seen before since he joined Man United. Tonight's a massive game. He needs to step up. It's the same with Anthony. I think no United fan I don't think I could name one United fan that wanted Anthony to start tonight.
No.
Because he's been in such bad form when he's played for quite a while now. But it's his opportunity to step up and prove something. I don't agree with them selections with Ten Hag.
No.
And I saw it and I thought, why? Why? I get there's games in succession, but...
As a front three, I would have gone with Garnacho. I totally agree with Hojlund coming back in because he's the focal point of the team. He's scored goals in the Champions League. This has been his kind of competition at Manchester United. On the left-hand side, I would have gone with Anthony Martial. Personally, that would have been my front three, but Erik ten Hag's clearly got different ideas here. Is it to do with a game plan? But Mainoo not being in the team, I don't know. He should be in there for me. He really should. And again, I don't want to overhype a young player, but he should be in there, especially in a Champions League game like this, where you know the crowd are going to be against you. There's going to be patterns of play where it's going to be backs to the wall. You need somebody in there who's got a clear head, can pass the ball, can move the ball, unselfish, and that's exactly what Mainoo brought to Manchester United at Goodison Park on Sunday. But I don't know. We just have to go with this, don't we? What else can we do apart from kind of talk about it?
Exactly. I mean, it's one of them things where a lot of people in the chat are not happy about it. We have a chat in here from Tuchel has turned I can't see the end of that name, but probably best. If any travelling Man United fans are watching, I would watch out for Galatasaray Ultras because they are known for attacking away fans because they did the same against Bayern and Copenhagen. Faz actually had a sit-down chat with the head of the Ultras. It's on the United stand. Really interesting to kind of go and have a look at that. But yes, the Galatasaray Ultras will be out in full force tonight, and it's not a safe environment, let's put it that way. So everyone be really careful if anybody is out there. But I mean, I don't know if they'll be watching this show if they're out there. They'll probably be singing and chanting away, but good luck to all the Man United fans that are there. Colin Felix says McTominay's ceiling and talent is a level above Ji-sung.
Wow.
Interesting one. Jared Rigo, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. A lot of people in the chat are not happy with the Mainoo selection. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, the team news isn't out yet. It'll be out at 4:30, but we can insinuate that Garnacho will play on the left with Hojlund and Anthony. What do you make of that front three, Kev? And get your comments down in the chat as well, because I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure. Not because of Hojlund, but I feel like it'd be very, very disappointing to drop Martial after his performance against Everton.
It's a huge Champions League game. You know, if we get beat this evening, that is us done for another season. And it's a front three. You could look at it in a positive way and say it's exciting if you're a glass half full kind of person. It's positive, it's vibrant, it's young, it's certainly got legs. Let's say in a counter-attacking force, Manchester United on the break will have legs. But the selection of Anthony, again, it doesn't fill me with much confidence. I haven't seen much from Anthony. Like many Manchester United fans are scratching their heads and probably thinking, why, how's he got in this team again? We know that Erik ten Hag, Manchester United paid a lot of money for him. But no, it wouldn't be my choice. It wouldn't be mine. But Garnacho scores an absolute worldie on Sunday, so he's definitely in there. I've got no problem with that. And Hojlund, again, as I said earlier, this is his competition. He scored goals for Manchester United in it. Confidence will be high. The main question mark for me is Anthony. I cannot get my head around that. I thought Anthony Martial did well on Sunday. I didn't think he pulled up any trees, but if we're looking at key moments, takes his goal fantastically well, chips it over Pickford, ice cold finish, wins the penalty as well. These are big moments. I've seen your comment you were on about Anthony Martial, the penalties he wins for Manchester United. He draws challenges, he's very clever. I'm sure opposition fans will say, oh, he dives. He doesn't. He's just very clever and he can draw a challenge exactly like he did on Sunday. He's got amazing close touch control. Yeah, that's what I say. You can't get near him. His close touch control is absolutely brilliant, and that's why he wins so many penalties. And that could be... This is what I don't get about Ten Hag, right? If it's from the standpoint he doesn't want him to get injured, I'm thinking, well, he's barely played all season anyway. He puts in a good performance against Everton. This is a must-win game, and how great would it be? And you've got to think about all these factors. Get a penalty, either early doors, settles the dust, and gives you an advantage, or say if we go 1-0 up, to get a penalty like we did at Everton when we're under pressure a bit to kind of ease the pressure, ease the atmosphere. You won't be able to ease the Galatasaray atmosphere, but just ease the pressure on the players of holding on to a 1-0 lead and give them a little bit more leeway. These are so important in games like this, and they can make or break. So I would have played Hojlund and Martial together, I'm going to be honest. I really would have. Where would you have played Martial? I would have played Martial on the left. I would have played Hojlund up front. And people tell me Garnacho can't play on the right. I would have played him on the right. That would have been my front three. Yeah. I would have been more confident in that than what Erik ten Hag's chosen, and I've just got a horrible feeling that later on, let's say on the fan forum, we'll be discussing this, and it could well come back to bite him big time here. I just feel sorry for Hojlund, because whenever he does play, and obviously he's missed the Champions League, if he's fit, he starts tonight because he's done so well in the Champions League so far. But I feel sorry for him because every time he plays, it's like the wingers he plays with aren't looking for him. Anthony doesn't do that on the left-hand side. Like, he doesn't have a right foot to cross it with, and his left-footed crosses haven't been good. Garnacho hopefully will do that, but we know Garnacho is a direct winger, and he likes to cut in and shoot as well. He does pass it a lot of the time, Garnacho, but he also loves to go direct and cut in and shoot. So it's tough for Hojlund up there, but I hope he does get the service tonight. And he did so well against Galatasaray at home and basically made the goals himself. Yeah. I mean, that first one was a good cross from Rashford, but he did well to get on the end of it. And then the second one, obviously, made the goal himself and did that run. So he deserves to be starting, absolutely. And Garnacho, you have to start him after that goal. If he does start, we don't know yet. We're assuming he will. But then Anthony to kind of come back straight into the starting 11. I always want players to do well, but I just don't think it's earned. I don't think it's deserved. Like, and that's how it should be, yeah. Pelistri's been coming on and affecting games. He's been impacting games. Anthony got subbed for Pelistri at Fulham, and Pelistri did more in the 20 minutes he was on than Anthony did in the time he was on, and made that first goal. He came on against Everton and had a really big part to play in the third goal. And it's like, when does he get rewarded for that? That's what I don't get, because Anthony's starting, he's being rewarded with a start, but what's he done to earn that start? Yeah. And this is where we're slipping back into Ole Gunnar Solskjaer territory. We used to always say that he had his favourites, that they will be chosen. Players should be chosen on, you're only as good as your last game. And this is why I can't believe that, yes, all right, you can mix it up, but to that extent, when you're taking a kid out who, for me, was man of the match, and Martial, who didn't do much wrong. This is a difficult away trip. You've got a Martial who is good on the ball, can hold the ball up, also a threat going forward, gives defenders something to think about, and then all of a sudden you're mixing it up with a player who you rightly say, for me, does not deserve to start this game. I don't know what message that sends out to other players in this squad. I know that he's had some kind of an off-field argument with Jadon Sancho, but Jadon Sancho would be looking at that and he's probably laughing and going, how is this guy, Anthony, getting in this team? You know, nowhere near it on Sunday, you know, didn't play, but he's in today. You know, if somebody can answers on a postcard of what Anthony will bring to this team today, I hope for 1 minute I get clipped up.
That's what I was just about to say.
United win.
We love that. We want that to happen.
Yeah.
We want him to kickstart his career. We want every player to do well. We want every player to do well.
How
but you've got to question
how long have we been saying this?
I know.
Every single game, I'm giving him time, give him another week, you know, he needs to settle in. You know, the honeymoon period's over. We need to start. You don't spend 90 million on somebody who's just good at keeping the ball and tracking back. You know, he's
the lineup.
Flair player. Hit me with it.
Got
Beth.
the lineup. So
it.
I think everyone can kind of guess it at this point, but it's Onana in goal. You've got a back four of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof and Luke Shaw. So Varane does not start again. I know people would be disappointed of that, but I'm going to be honest. I think it's the right thing. Maguire and Lindelof played well last game, and I think you should kind of stick with that. Wan-Bissaka comes in for Dalot, which is absolutely the right decision, in my opinion, against Wilfried Zaha.
Defensively, much, much better.
The midfield three is Sofian Amrabat, Scott McTominay, and... Is it Scott McTominay? Yeah, Scott McTominay and Bruno Fernandes.
Thought you were going to throw another surprise at me then. I was like, I can't handle it, man.
The front three, as we predicted, is Garnacho on the left, Hojlund up front, and Anthony on the right. So the bench is Bayinde, Heaton, Dalot, Varane, Reguilon, Dan Gore, Hannibal, Kobe Mainoo, Facundo Pellistri, Joe Hugel and Anthony Martial. You expect Facundo Pellistri and Anthony Martial will have big parts to play off the bench in this game. You've got to have something to be able to come off the bench, and you suspect that them two players will play big parts in that. I just hope at that point we're still in the game to be able to use them to our advantage.
You would, yeah, exactly that. I was going to say, if anything, you don't want to be chasing a game. We've seen it so many times with Manchester United, and I think that's where players will get a bit disgruntled. They'll look and think, you know, for instance, if we're chasing a game and he brings Martial on with 5 minutes left, you know, there's no time to really get into the game. I hope it'd be lovely if we were controlling the game and we can make positive changes like that to suit Manchester United and the way that we want to go about this task this evening. But it's going to be very, very difficult. And on paper, the back four, I'm happy with. I cannot have any arguments with it. I think Wan-Bissaka is definitely better defensively as Dalot.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, with the changes that he's made to the lineup, so obviously he's made 4 changes. The Wan-Bissaka one for Dalot is a thumbs up from me. Not that I don't rate Dalot, I just think Wan-Bissaka is more defensively sound against a team that's very good in the attacking sense. The Amrabat for Kobe Mainoo one, I don't agree with. And I like the fact Hojlund's come in, but I still would have played Martial somewhere in that front three to play with him. He just has this thing. He just won't play them together. I don't know if it's stubbornness. I don't know what it is. But I feel like if he did play them together, then you'd be able to see Hojlund would be able to get more service. I'm honestly convinced by it. And I just think, why won't he do it? I don't know. He obviously has... Anthony's his signing and Garnacho has to play, but it's like... It's frustrating, and people in the chat are a bit frustrated that Varane isn't starting, but let's be honest, Kev, Varane hasn't played well in a while, and even though he's an absolute professional and he's been an unbelievable player in his career, and I still think he's an unbelievable player, he's at one of the first names on the team sheet last year for Man United with Martinez. Realistically, who are you going to go with? Maguire, who's banging form, or Varane, who hasn't really been up to it, and the last Champions League game basically cost us it with individual errors.
Well, Maguire and Lindelof have got more minutes in the bag as a partnership, so I do think he looks at certain partnerships. We go back to Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire. You know, they played together at Leicester, and it is about partnerships. So I love Varane. How could you not say, you know, a bad word about Varane? But at this moment in time, the context, when you look back at the games that they played, we have got clean sheets. That breeds breeds confidence. And you kind of have to look at it. And as tough as it is to take for somebody like Varane, who's won World Cups, Champions Leagues, he's probably looking at it, and he cannot just get in because of what he's done in the past. You know, it's the now. And you just mentioned earlier saying it's all about fighting for your place in this team and getting in there on merit, not just because of, you know, trophies that you have won in the past. But he's a class act. I'm certainly not slagging him off. Do you know what everyone in the chat's saying is they can't believe that Mainoo's not starting? I think that's the biggest. That's a big shock. That's a shocker. The biggest shock that we can kind of get from this lineup. And there's a few ways we can go about it. By the way, everyone, Ricky will be joining us. He'll be calling in from Tenerife very shortly. In about just under 10 minutes, Ricky will be calling in. I'm sure he has a lot to say about Martial not starting, Pellistri not starting, two players I would have loved to start. But with Mainoo, do you think it's Ten Hag protecting him? Because it's obviously a really, really important game that the stakes are so high and any error is going to be looked at in such detail. Do you think it's protecting him? I personally wouldn't, because like Ten Hag said himself, if you're good enough, you're old enough, and he was the best player on the pitch against Everton, so I think he can perform again tonight. But do you think Ten Hag might be protecting him a bit? If he is, and let's just say later on in a few hours' time, he does come out and he says that he was protecting him, I will not understand that. Because what worse place to throw him in on Sunday? Everton away, who had just been deducted 10 points by the Premier League. You knew the fans were having this kind of, before the game, this demonstration against the Premier League. You knew it was going to be a hostile environment, yet he throws him in. You know, it wasn't at Old Trafford. This wasn't a, you know, you've got 76,000 fans behind you that are cheering for you. It was away at Everton, and he passed the test with flying colours. So for this one, I was kind of thinking, surely he's injured. You know, I was waiting for you to read the bench out. If he wasn't included, that's the only way that I could actually process this and go, I can understand, you know, he's obviously injured. That's why he's been left out. That's why he's not in the starting 11. But the fact he's on the bench, if you're fit enough to be on the bench for me, you're fit enough to be starting. And I can only think that maybe in Ten Hag's head, he thinks that Amrabat is more experienced, maybe has got a bit more about him, bit more streetwise, bit more steel. But do you need that?
Then you think that, and then Mainoo looked like he'd played for years in that Everton midfield. And Everton are a decent team, by the way. Before the points deduction, they were doing very well, and their midfield is strong. So I'm thinking, like, I get your point of view, but Mainoo looked like he'd been playing for years. It's strange to me. I think there could be a situation where you could see a half-time sub to bring Mainoo on if Amrabat struggles. I hope Amrabat doesn't struggle. I hope he has a good game because, as I said, I want every player to do well. But I'm sensing there could be a half-time sub.
And if he does, and he has to make that change, I
just hope he does it. I hope he goes with it. That's
on Ten Hag. You know, it's not for me. It's not on Amrabat. The decision now is to be made prior to kick-off, and you pick the best team to go out there to give you the best chance of winning this game, which is really what we have to do this evening. It's going to be really tough. I really don't get it. Mainoo should be playing.
Obviously, when you've got Everton away, Galatasaray away and Newcastle away within a week
well, he could have one eye on.
It's a squad
ahead,
game, isn't it?
But yeah, we have to take this game as it is now, and we have to win. We're not in the position where other top European teams can rest their players now because with 2 games left, they've qualified.
If we lose, like, we're out of the group. So it's And to be honest, we can't even get away with the draw. We have to win this game. So he's putting a lot of faith in the players that he's brought in. I just hope it pays off. He keeps repaying faith into Anthony, which we're struggling to see, but these can be season-defining moments for players. Hopefully, this can be a game that turns around Amrabat's United career, turns around Anthony's United career, and we can kick on from there. And that's what I want to see. But it is a weird one. It is a weird one. But the super chat's coming in. Kiara O'Leary says, "I'd love for Martial to play with Hojlund, but we have no forward to bring on if Hojlund comes off. Devastated for Mainoo." Yeah, that's true, to be honest, because Rashford isn't there either. You don't have a forward player to come on, but I'd still go with it. It's not enough of a reason for me. Robert Lund says, "I know that Mainoo is young, but we saw against Everton what a quality player he is. I mean, what is Erik ten Hag thinking? Sometimes it confuses me." Nick Kantar says, "I feel like Hojlund and Pellistri would be great." Barney says, "I like Erik ten Hag, but I swear he wants us to lose." They're the super chats coming in. Thank you guys for your super chats. Keep them coming, and we'll talk about the topics that you guys want to talk about. But like we saw in you know, when the Everton game was such a nice feeling to win a game by 3-0, all the forwards chipping in. The togetherness seemed there. Erik ten Hag seemed to chirp in his press conference, did that interview that it's gone kind of viral where he says, do you think we want you to lose? And Erik ten Hag says, well, we don't care. And I was thinking, I love this guy so much. I just so hope he turns it around and reaches a level I know he can. But then when he makes decisions like this, I'm like, I knew it was coming. And in the back of my head, I knew from midday, like I knew Anthony was going to start. And I thought maybe he wouldn't have the confidence to start Mainoo. I knew it was coming, but I was just hoping I was going to be wrong. Yeah. But the thing is with Ten Hag, he can be a bit predictable sometimes. You
get used to it, don't you? It's like under Sir Alex Ferguson, you always knew the changes he was going to do. He might mix it up slightly, but because he was there that long, and it's trying to get used to over certain years. We've had different managers, but towards like the end of them being at Manchester United, you know exactly how they operate. And Ten Hag, you like you say, you knew there was going to be a few curveballs thrown in here, but for me, it's just play his strongest team, and especially on the back of a good win on Sunday. And he can't even be looking ahead to, Newcastle. It's Wednesday now. That game is Saturday, and it's the fact that we have to win this game. You can't be looking and going, well, I've got Newcastle, I've got to freshen up the squad. No, this is must win. It is must win.
If you asked me to pick a game that I want to win both, but if you asked me to pick a game to win, Galatasaray or Newcastle, I'd pick Galatasaray. Yeah. Because of position we're in. Like, we can still get top four by losing to Newcastle. And to be honest, I expect us to lose anyway. I know that's not great, but that's just the position we're in. Whereas we have to win this game to keep our Champions League hopes alive. So that's
it's exciting being in the Champions League. Yeah. This is where we want it to be.
And you don't want to be in Europa.
You'll get people with the glass half full. I get it. What's the point of being in the Champions League? If we get into the knockout stages, we'll face somebody, we'll get annihilated. But it's over two legs, and this is where Ten Hag comes in and the use of the squad. And who knows? Who knows who you're going to draw if you were to get into the knockout stages of the Champions League? But of course we want to be there.
Question for you. Would you rather... So if we don't win tonight, I think we will win, and I think you think we will win as well. After that lineup, I'm a little bit less confident, but if we don't win tonight, because that is a possibility, we're hoping we do, would you rather draw the game and probably come third overall in the group and go into the Europa, or lose it and finish fourth and just go out?
I wouldn't want to go into the Europa League.
Yeah.
No, them days are...
Get in the chat.
Honestly, Thursday nights, Thursday, Sunday, I couldn't be. Do you know what? Because it's not. I know Manchester United won the trophy, and of course I celebrated at the time when we won the Europa League. But I know that it's not a prestigious trophy. It's not where people want to be. And I just think for this group of players, if we did drop out the Champions League, it would just be great not to have that distraction. Let's just look at breaking into that top four in the Premier League. And also a run in the FA Cup, because that's all we would have to look forward to. I think the Europa League, you throw in these teams, you're going to play Borat FC in Kazakhstan on a Thursday night, daft o'clock, whatever it is, and no, not for me.
For me, it's the tough one, because I don't want to play in the Europa because I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. But at the same time, if we did drop into the Europa, it's a competition where I think we have a good chance of winning it, and it's silverware that we could get. So it's like... Oh, it's so... And I remember winning the Europa League.
And it is a pathway into getting into the Champions League. Mourinho did this at Manchester United, put all his eggs in that basket, went fully out for it. And we were grateful at the time that he did, because we didn't make the top four that year. But we won the Europa League, and that was our pathway that year to getting back into the Champions League. So I suppose you could look at it like that, but a lot of good teams will fall into that Europa League from the Champions League.
Also, as well, I mean, Newcastle could still potentially... Also, as well, when you look at it and you think the time on the training ground would be nice to have too. You know, it would be nice. But we hope we get through, and we hope we go to the next stage of the Champions League. That's what we're aiming for. Ricky's in the house. We're going to bring him in just a second. I've got some super chats to read. Anto Back says, Varane is better than Harriet and Victor combined. They were awful the last game. Another signing, Erik ten Hag, didn't make being pushed out. Makes no sense. Yeah, I think Varane's going. To be honest with you. And a lot of people in the chat are saying that as well, which I'm sad about, because I thought he was brilliant last year with Martinez, but he's not been great this season. Sammy Noor says, did you know Mainoo's not playing before 4:30? Can't give away my sources. Can't give away my sources. Fozzie says, I don't think the personnel really matters, to be honest. Look at the state of the pitch. Going to be kick and rush football. No point playing technical players, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think that's the right attitude to go into it with.
No,
you play your best team, don't you? MJR says, do you think he's resting for Newcastle Saturday? Well, we just spoke how stupid that would be because...
It just sounds ridiculous. What resting players, like as Roy Keane... At the risk of sounding like Roy Keane, you'd be like, it's Wednesday. You need to win this game. The other game's Saturday. What are we on about? It's a must-win Champions League game. How can you be talking about resting players?
Exactly. Neil Curran says, is Erik ten Hag concerned with Mainu in the atmosphere of Rams Park? Disappointed Anthony's in. I did give him Pellistri the chance after his Bayern performance before. Left Field says, Beth, Erik ten Hag is showing he doesn't have the balls to be United manager. Dropping Varane, Mainu and Martial is criminal. Anthony will cost him his job. I mean, I think he definitely has the bottle to be Man United manager, but I completely agree with you that dropping Mainu and Martial is criminal. I agree with you on that. Jack Glancy says, I would have played Amrabat, Mainu and Bruno, and depending on who is struggling, I would sub them off at half-time and then bring McTominay on. Michael says that Galatasaray team is quality all over the pitch. Angelina, the one to watch. Yeah, Angelina, the left-back for... Galatasaray's had our number had our number before. He's a good player. And there are all the super chats on for now. Thank you everyone for contributing. Last one here. United says it's more reckless to throw an 18-year-old out after 48 hours recovery just after returning from long-term injury. Get real, guys. I understand that point. I do think it is an injury thing, but at the same time, we just want to see him play. And Super Kolaski, thank you for the super chat. Kedar says, very likely we might lose the game via midfield. Anthony doesn't start for me, not liking the player selections. What the F, Erik ten Hag? A lot of people aren't happy with that lineup, but we'll get Ricky's opinions. I'm sure he's not going to be happy that Martial has been dropped. Ricky, are you with us?
I am. I can hear you loud and clear.
Great to see you over Tenerife.
He's got his arms crossed. That's that's a very serious pose, that, Ricky. That's a I am not happy pose.
You've ditched us for Tenerife, Ricky. You were supposed to be here today. We're not happy with you.
Yeah, sorry about that, darling. I couldn't resist it.
I mean,
it's glorious here, but it's freezing there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely freezing. I've had to defrost my car every day. It's not where you... To be fair, I'm feeling in the Christmas spirit. I don't mind it. Glass half full. But Ricky, let's get into the lineup. When you saw the lineup, first initial reactions?
Disappointed. Like the lads just said, I think you just read that super chat there. Kobe Mainu, I thought he's absolutely fantastic. Look, he's only a young lad. I'm going to trust the manager's opinion on that one, and he might think, well, it's a cauldron to play in there, and obviously he's just had one game, and can he do it again so soon afterwards in such a difficult situation? I've seen footage of the youth game. Was it an under-19 game or something yesterday where the ball was sticking in the water?
It was today.
It looked awful.
Today.
Yeah,
today. So whether that's going to be similar tonight, I mean, obviously, if it was like that for a Champions League game, I'm sure they would have to call it off at some stage. But look, the game's going ahead, it looked like. And if Kobe Mainu was going to play on that pitch, maybe the manager thought it wasn't the right decision to play him. Anthony Martial, we're always worried about his fitness. And again, I'm going to cut the manager a little bit of slack, but he has been on the bench for a long time now and fit and played virtually a full game. And I've got to be honest, I thought he played great on Sunday. And when he took him off at 3-0 with 5 minutes to go, about 15 minutes to go, I thought to myself, he's resting him now because he's playing on Wednesday. So I am a bit shocked that he's not playing. And he makes it look Hojlund. I think Hojlund's got a great chance in the game, and all players are different. They've all got slight differences, but the difference between Hojlund and Martial, I'm not saying this in a negative way because players are just different, but the difference between those two players is massive. Hojlund plays the game in one fashion, Martial plays it in another. And the way Martial plays the game, you've got more chance of the team playing well, I believe. Somebody like Hojlund, all hustle and bustle and work rate, chasing, and he can finish if he gets a chance. But I just believe with Martial, as he's showing, somebody sent me a stat today, he's only played something like 28% of the minutes, and yet we've scored 10 out of 14 goals with him on the field, Martial. And that doesn't surprise me. And that's in the Premier League, non-penalty goals, it said. I haven't checked that stat. I assume it's right, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. You know, we do play better when Martial plays, and we've got more chance of scoring goals. Whether he's scoring them or making them, I've said this many times, it doesn't matter. If you look at his goal at weekend, the first bit of play is him getting the ball in their half and leaving a couple of men for dead and putting a glorious pass in front of Palestri. Palestri gets up the field, gives it to Bruno. Bruno gives it to Martial, who's now come from Everton's half and caught the play up. It really is a fantastic goal. But that could have gone to a different player who might have scored. It'd still be, whether somebody else would have scored it, it'd still be down to how Martial gets hold of the ball, keeps hold of it, and gives a good pass to a winger. That's what we need more of.
Ricky, I totally agree on that Martial should have been included in this starting 11 today. Exactly like you say, against Everton, Goodison Park on Sunday, to bring him off, you almost think that's him nailed on to start. Eric Ten Hag obviously has different ideas, but the player that's been chosen, the namesake like Anthony, can you make this one make sense for me? Because me and Beth have just been discussing it. Anthony gets in. Obviously, Rashford isn't available because he is suspended, but I think the last time I did the build-up show, eyebrows were raised at the inclusion of Anthony. Can you make this one make sense for me? Because I'm looking at this Galatasaray game and thinking the stage is going to be back to the walls. Is it purely for the defensive work that maybe Anthony can bring to Manchester United?
That's a good question. I mean, obviously, as I've said before, he looks after the ball quite well, Anthony, but there's not a lot of end product with him, is there? There's not enough good football in the final third.
Well, it's no different to Anthony Martial, is it? Martial would look after the ball, and what I said earlier is at least Martial, you've got a goal threat in him. He'll use the ball better, higher up the pitch, gives defenders something to think about, whereas I look at Anthony and I think as an attacking threat, it's pretty non-existent, isn't he? He's very predictable in what he's going to do.
I think Beth and I have spoke about this numerous times. I'd like to see Hojlund and Martial playing, and there's numerous ways, well, not numerous, there's 2 or maybe 3 different ways you could do that. And especially with Rashford missing today, the awkward bit is that Garnacho seems to be nailing down the left wing spot, and that's Martial's better on the left than he is on the right. So it is a bit awkward, but at the end of the day, you get paid the big bucks for making the big decisions. And I'm not too sure that Garnacho would be happy. I've seen 1 or 2 people on Twitter saying, put Garnacho on the right. But if you're going to do that, I'd just play Palestri on the right. I think if I wanted to fit Hojlund into this team tonight, and I know people are probably going mad because of the great goal that Garnacho scored, but as I said I think I said on Instagram yesterday, that's not sustainable. You can't expect a player to score a goal like that every other week. You know what I mean? It's a fantastic goal, but by the time he scores a goal anywhere near like that, it might be another 5 years. So there's no point saying, he scored that goal, he deserves to keep his place. Do you understand what I'm coming from with that? But it's not going to happen again. Watch him do it again tonight.
Do you imagine?
It's not going to happen again. For me, to fit Hojlund in the side, I'd have played Palestri on the right, I'd have played Martial on the left, and Hojlund at number 9. And I think Hojlund would get a lot more chances, and I think would be really dangerous. I mean, Palestri, he was well involved in that goal. He was well involved in he passed it to Bruno for the goal at Fulham. When he played against Palace in the League Cup, he gave it to Dalot. Dead simple little passes around the edge of the box. And they've led to goals on 3 different occasions. And he hardly gets any minutes on the pitch. He needs to get more minutes, Palestri, big time.
I just want to quickly come in there. I agree that Palestri needs more minutes. Why I asked about in the press conference. But I do want to just come in. There's been some breaking news coming from The Athletic, who is a Tier 1 source. The Athletic, that Manchester United will listen to offers for Raphael Varane in the January transfer window. I mean, Ricky, I'm assuming you're not surprised about that?
I'm not surprised about it, no, and I'm not too disappointed about it. I've not been his biggest fan, really. I know everybody thinks he played great last year. He's not my cup of tea. I think Real Madrid have found us, if I'm honest. You look, Casemiro, when he was playing towards the end of last season and the beginning of this season as well, he just looks well. He looks like he's well on his downward spiral, and I think that about Varane as well. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people won't agree with me. But I've just not been dead impressed by him, to be honest. And people can tell me all they want. How many Champions League winners' medals has he got? Is it 4? And he's won the World Cup. Staggering, absolutely staggering portfolio that he's got, if you like, his CV. But I go by the eye test. I watch. I watch the game and I make my own decision on what I see. And I don't care what players have done in the past. It's about what you're doing for Manchester United when I watch you play for Manchester United.
We'll be fine. We've got Johnny Evans.
I get that point. I do think Varane was top last year. I really do. Yeah. I thought he was brilliant last year. This season, I agree with you, Ricky. He's not been very good. It's one of them. Are we writing him off too quickly? I don't know. I just can't believe he would be the one leaving before Maguire. But Maguire has been playing really well recently and has deserved to keep his place in the starting 11. It's a weird one. But, Ricky, what do you think about Wan-Bissaka coming in for Dalot as well?
I'm not surprised. There's been a lot of talk about that because of Zaha. Obviously, I take it Zaha's playing, is he?
Yeah, he's playing.
Yeah. So I've been hearing a lot about that. But I was just chatting to someone just before I came on, and so it made a fantastic point to me. In fact, I compared it to something that you said when I was banging on about Johnny Evans. You said, "Oh, he only played for Leicester." I remember you saying that to me. Somebody just said to me, "He played for 7 seasons for Crystal Palace." Everybody raved about him while he was playing for Crystal Palace, and when they've sold him, he's gone to Galatasaray. He's not gone to Bayern Munich. Or do you understand what I mean? When I watch him, he's a really dangerous player. Again, the eye test, he looks fantastic. But it does seem a bit strange that his 2 clubs of recent years are Crystal Palace and Galatasaray. Where's the big clubs coming in for him?
It's a fair point.
I think Zaha's a very good player, and I do think Wan-Bissaka.
I agree.
I think even though Dalot, I do like Dalot, I think Wan-Bissaka is the right option today. Especially, I remember when we played Crystal Palace away. I can't remember when it was, but Zaha was through one-on-one at the end of the game, and you could have put anything on it that he was going to score, and somehow Wan-Bissaka managed to just get back and stick a leg in. He's so good on one-on-one.
Defensively, Wan-Bissaka is much better, and you only have to look at the first game against Galatasaray in this group. Dalot was easily muscled off the ball for Zaha's goal, which wasn't even a great finish. But Dalot showed that frailty of being out-muscled, and that's something he needs to learn really defensively, I would have said. Lastly,
Ricky, I want to get your opinions, because a lot of people have said, I saw a lot of people saying before the game that McTominay needs to come out, but I'm with you. I've not always been McTominay's biggest fan, but I absolutely would have started him, and Ten Hag has started him. Will you just explain why McTominay needs to stay in the team, in your opinion?
Well, it's his energy and his athleticism. He gets around the park so much more comfortably than, I know Casemiro's injured at the minute, but when Casemiro plays, he doesn't get around the park as comfortably as McTominay does. McTominay makes blocks and he wins headers, and because he's so athletic, he makes these blocks where when you're watching the game, people who are watching the game, they don't realise that another player he gets there so easily. They don't realise that another player might not have got there. I remember one that he blocked out for a corner against Fulham, where he just stuck out a long leg. He had to get 3 strides in, stuck out a long leg. He blocked it out for a corner. It's just his athleticism, obviously his enthusiasm. And I think I said to you in a message the other day, a lot of people sort of saying he's not getting enough touches. Look, when we're out of possession, it's about being organised and being in the right place. You don't necessarily have to get a lot of touches. And if you've got another player next to you, like Mainu at the weekend, and Eriksen completes a lot of passes when he plays, you've got 2 slightly different roles in the team. I'm not surprised. I can't remember what the stat was now. I think somebody said Mainu didn't play as long and he had about 60 touches, and McTominay only had 40 touches. You know what I say to that? Big deal. You know what I mean? Big deal.
Can I just say, Ricky, then, if we'd have rewound an hour ago and I'd have said who would have been your midfield 2 to put in there, would you have got
again? Sorry.
Would you have gone with Amrabat and McTominay? If I'd have asked you, before the team news broke, would that have been your choice? Or looking at the performance Mainu put in?
We've obviously got injuries. Eriksen's out injured. Had Eriksen been fit, I probably would have gone with Eriksen. If the manager would have said to me, "Look, Kobbie Mainoo, I'm not starting him." Is he 18, Mainoo?
18.
And he's just made his debut. It might be a stretch too far putting him in this game. The conditions and the atmosphere and different things to take into account. So I can understand that, but I'd have been more tempted to play him if my option was Amrabat. If my option was Eriksen, because Eriksen really does help us tick the ball over, and really he helps us to play well, basically, just like Kobe. Kobe Mainoo, he looks an absolute star in the making. I don't want to go overboard. The only one game, I was absolutely over the moon with him. So, you know, he played in that role even better than Eriksen's been playing. But if we had Eriksen to come in, I wouldn't mind so much him being rested. But Amrabat he's like a dog of war, isn't he? He'll get stuck in. He really will challenge for balls. And I think some people think that's great. It is great when it's necessary, but it's also great looking after the ball well, passing it well. You know, if you look after the ball well, pass it well, keep moving it around the field, maybe you don't have to make so many challenges and win so many tackles. You know, there's two different ways of playing the game.
I'm so glad that Ricky is on the same page as us all, that Mainoo looks like a star. We don't want to get carried away, like you said, but
yeah, we don't
often, Ricky, you know, sometimes players that everyone loves, you're not a big fan of, but so far, Beth, you're very impressed.
I could not believe it. I mean, I watched him play. I was in the States for the pre-season tour, and I watched him play against Arsenal, and Real Madrid. Yeah. And I think he played against Real Madrid. Really took my eye. But, you know, pre-season friendlies, like we always say. And I just thought, it looks like we've got a player there. But then he comes into a league game and plays like that. I was absolutely amazed. What a performance he put on.
You've heard it here first on the United stand. Mainoo has passed the Ricky eye test.
He's passed the Ricky test. One game in, but he is passed.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Straight away. We love that. I mean, the guy's going to go on to be world class then, clearly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Ricky, before you go, give us your score prediction.
I don't like our lineup. At all. I'm going to go a 1-1 draw.
Oh, Ricky, why are you doing that? You're in sunny Spain.
Do you know what? Do you know what? If Bayern beat Copenhagen tonight, and I know they play after us, I don't think it'd be an absolute disaster. We'd need to win our last. I know it's Bayern, but we'd need to win our last home game.
They could have
qualified.
qualified.
We'd need Galatasaray not to win in Copenhagen. A draw might not be. Look, there's a lot of work to do still, but let's put it this way: a defeat is an absolute disaster. A draw won't be an absolute disaster.
It's mad that we could draw this game and still have a chance, but for me, we have to win it. We really do. But you've gone with a 1-1. Let's hope you're wrong. I'm going to introduce a show where we say which players have the Ricky seal of approval or not. But yeah, we'll do that. But Ricky, have a good holiday. I mean, you're on holiday all the time, but enjoy your holiday and hopefully you get the win.
Have a few beers for me, Ricky.
Saturday.
Yeah, see you Saturday.
I can't wait for it.
Sound.
See you Saturday night. Kev, you have Ricky's prediction in a draw. We'll move to ours in a second, but the last 15 minutes we're going to do our players to watch. Sadly, Kev, both
brilliant.
your players to
Just
watch
remember who I said now.
aren't actually playing, but we can still talk about them because I have no doubts that they're probably going to come on as substitute appearances. So your first player to watch was Anthony Martial. Impact off the bench?
Well, I'll have to go down that route now. This was obviously before we've heard the team news. I've just assumed that on the form of Sunday that Martial would have started this game. He isn't. So now, yes, I'm going to have to look at it as being some kind of an impact player and not the Erik ten Hag throwing him on with 5 minutes left where we're chasing a game. I don't want to be in that position today. Hopefully we can get ourselves into a winning position, and what better player to bring on? I can probably already kind of sense now, I really do not have much faith in Anthony. You know, will that change happen? You know, could it happen at half time if he's having, you know, stinking the place out? It's a possibility, but prior to when you asked me the one to watch, I really thought Martial would be starting. Action-packed display on Sunday, and I thought he'd be in the team, but shows you what I know, doesn't it?
I know, Kev. Yeah. It's always the way. But hopefully he'll have an impact off the bench. Anthony Martial scores again. We hope that's what we're singing tonight. But I mean, people in the chat who keep saying the game is off is really annoying me. It's not off. Stop making
Give
me
over
worry.
Now. We nearly fell for it earlier. We're not falling for it again.
Funny the first time, not funny now, because you know we want to watch this game. But my first player to watch was Rasmus, as Mark would say. I don't do it as good as him. Rasmus Hojlund, Mr. Champions League, top scorer in the Champions League, and hopefully he has another goal for us tonight. Interestingly enough, even though he's top scorer in the Champions League, the games where he's scored all of his goals in haven't resulted in any results for us. Yeah. So I'm hoping he can convert his goals into points, and tonight we see him strike again. So. And
of course, quickest Manchester United player to reach 5 Champions League goals.
Yeah, yeah,
which is quite impressive in itself.
Especially for a 20-year-old who's just come into the club. A lot of pressure on him, but I really like the look of him. Aggressive. Really hard worker. Like Ricky said, different style to Martial, but I think he's got so much potential.
And the thing with Hojlund, it's, like you said earlier, it's getting the right players in and around him to create them opportunities, because he is selfless, Hojlund. His movement's absolutely unbelievable. And for me, it's the movement aspect of his game, because he brings other players into play, whether it be now Garnacho, Anthony, whoever it is, even Bruno coming in that number 10 role, trying to push forward. Hojlund will drag defenders out of position, and that's one of his greatest attributes. Obviously, goal scoring is the other one, but like you say, power, pace. He's got the full package, big future ahead of him.
Absolutely. I've had the pleasure to speak to him as well. Obviously, interviewed him. And he seemed like such a humble guy, you know. Obviously, he seems like a determined winner as well.
And that's what we want at Manchester United. We mentioned that word, humble. I said the same thing to my son when I was talking about Kobbie Mainoo after his game on Sunday. I said he just strikes me as somebody that doesn't have that ego. You know, I don't think cars or anything like that would. He just wants to play football. You know what I mean, though. He's not, you know, a Kieran Richardson where he's going to be rocking up, or Memphis Depay, for instance. You know, rocking up in a pink Rolls Royce or whatever it was, and a cowboy hat on him. Wayne Rooney wanted to, like, you know, set about him because he did not like that. You know, he was like, you've not even made it Manchester United yet. But we need players like that in our squad, you know, not the massive egos, the ones that want to play for the shirt. They want to go out there and play football. Mainoo is in that bracket for me.
What Hojlund? And Mainoo.
Yeah, I was saying Mainoo as well. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hojlund as well, yeah.
Hojlund struck. What really struck me about Hojlund was when I noticed it, because I was impressed at the Copenhagen game away, and when Dalot made that mistake to concede the goal, Hojlund went absolutely ballistic. Like, you could tell he literally was having a go at Dalot, like fuming, and that happens in games. Yeah. And that's just what happens. People care so much, and you know what happens on the field stays on the field. But you know, Dalot's been at the club for years. Hojlund's just arrived. To kind of have a pop like that, I thought, you're a winner. Yeah. And you will do anything it takes to win, and I really like that about him. Your next player to watch was Mainoo, who you've just talked about then. Obviously off the bench, we're hoping he's going to have some sort of impact, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see how long it takes for Erik ten Hag to call upon him. Again, it's going to be one of these substitutions. It's either going to be Amrabat's not having a great game and we call on Mainoo, and then if we're in that position, it's probably a position where we're drawing or we're chasing the game, so then people are going to look and go, well, why didn't he start him? You know, what was the point of that? Or if we're in the position where we're winning the match and we bring him on to control that midfield area, and the midfield is so key. That's why I'm disappointed not to see him in there today. I'm fully behind Amrabat and McTominay as a 2. I've got it into my head now. I know we're going to war against Galatasaray, and that's the 2 that are locked in. There's nothing I can do about that. But if one or the other is not having a great game, what a substitution to bring on. Exactly. And my last player to watch before I move on to predictions was Luke Shaw. Oh, reason being Luke Shaw is obviously because... Do you know what the thing is? It's funny because people are saying, well, he might be wanting to watch Mainoo from injury, but Luke Shaw's literally had just come back from a long injury as well, and he played at Everton. He's playing again. I know he's a senior pro, but Luke Shaw is absolutely necessary. And the reason I mentioned him is because last time we played Galatasaray, we didn't have a proper left back that could do a job for us, and Luke Shaw absolutely is brilliant. So I think having him today could be a big difference. I never realised how many sort of social media like trolls, I won't call them trolls, let's say social media reds, I've got this thing against Luke Shaw. Oh, it's crazy. I did my Van Cam video at the weekend. I said, like, Shaw transforms United. I didn't mean transforms United. That was the title of it. What I meant was he transforms... He does transform United. He transforms the defence, yeah. So people are on it. Can he score goals? You know, does he assist? Does he do this, that? And I'm like,
Whoa. I didn't mean, you know, he comes into this team and he's going to be this number 10.
But he affects it.
Of course
he affects
does.
it because play starts from the back.
Yes.
And he contributes so much in the midfield when he drives forward into it. He contributes
if you're
so
Maguire
much.
and Lindelof, you like to me. Left-hand side, I've got Luke Shaw.
You can see
if
with
it's
Vanana felt
Bazaka,
more comfortable with him passing it out against Everton.
and he does overlap. He gets forward, he overlaps. You know, there is a goal in him. Don't get me wrong, he's not prolific. He's a left-back, for God's sake, isn't he?
I get rinsed continually for saying Luke Shaw's the best left-back in the league. Continually get rinsed. But guess what? No one's going to stop me from saying it because he is, in my opinion.
You go.
But I'll get rinsed again for that. But I absolutely just think he's top quality, and I think to have that performance at Everton after just coming back from a really long-term injury, it was a great performance. Because sometimes you see players come back and they take a bit to get into it, and Luke Shaw has had that in the past, but he came straight back in. Today will be a massive improvement.
Looked like he'd never been away.
That's what I mean, and that's what I love about him as well. Like just what he brings to the defence, the midfield, even the forward line. He affects us across all areas of the pitch. So buzzing, he is back. Got a few super chats in. Darren Mulaney, I would have started Pellistri, then Anthony. Anthony is greedy and will come on for Garnacho if needed. Shahin says, I like Martial, but both Garnacho and Hojlund are ahead of him for this game, and it'd be a waste to play Garnacho on the right wing. Interesting. Well, we could see Hojlund and Martial together if he subs Garnacho for Martial for the left at some point. Possibly. That's a good...
But Anthony greedy?
Pardon?
I wouldn't say Anthony's greedy. If anything, I prefer him to be
much.
a bit more...
He shoots too much from the outside of the box. I can't lie. Jonathan says, thoughts on McTominay as a striker. He's very good in the box and could teach Hojlund. He's wasted in midfield. No, for me, McTominay is a midfielder, but he's got a good strike on him. Alan Casey says that Mainu looks like a star. Beth, you are a star. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Alan, for that chat. And Manchild says, Eric told us yesterday he has no fear of playing Mainu tonight. Will be due to injury concerns with these conditions, saving him for Saturday or tactics. Thank you for that chat. Ronald Pickering says, just called my doctor, as I agree with Ricky. What the hell? Danny says, waterlog pitch, smart management to risk injury-prone Martial Varane Mainu, who's 18 and just back from injury. He's got battlers in there. Trey Warren says, I think if we lose this game, Varane is going to be straight back into the squad. The defence is what will lose us this game. And Seb says, love Mainu and his calmness, but throwing him in against Galatasaray away on only his second game is risky. Not surprised he's gone with more experience. Some
Do you know what? A lot of people are actually...
there.
I was really surprised that when the Godfather joined us there, Ricky, I was expecting him to go hell for leather and say, can't get his head round. But I was really surprised at the way he was so kind of diplomatic, sat back and was like, I get why, you know, even like Martial, he was on about Mainu, he can understand why he's not starting. And I was like, I'm sat there thinking, wise words from Ricky, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a lot of the people, like you say in the chat, are obviously saying a similar thing. They can see. Obviously, when the team news broke and you asked me, I was a bit like flabbergasted and I'm like caught in the moment thinking, God, why is he not playing? But maybe this is why Ten Hag isn't, and a lot of people can see it. Absolutely.
And the more super chats that come through kind of explaining the point, and the more it's convinced me, like, yeah, that actually might be the right decision. Plus, what I liked in one of them super chats there was Amrabat is a battler, and you need players that are going to go to war in this game. I think Mainu can do that too, do not get me wrong, and I actually think Mainu's...
Well, that's the only way I was getting my head around the Amrabat start. As I did mention earlier, I mentioned the word steal, and I'm thinking, is it just for that bit of steel in the middle of the park? It's such a key area of these kind of games. You need somebody in there. I just really hope that it doesn't fail today.
Absolutely, I am with you. But Kev, to finish off our show, got a couple of minutes left. Let's get some score predictions in. And guys, get your score predictions in the chat as well. I want to see what you think too. But Kev, give us your score prediction and your United goal scorers.
I've gone with a cagey 1-0 Manchester United win. Clean sheet, I know. Don't ask me why. I've said this a few times the last couple of games. I went with 2-0 on Sunday against Everton.
Decent prediction.
So yeah, 3-0. I got the clean sheet and obviously the win, which a lot of people did. I think there was some in our group chat who went for Everton as well.
And people are just, I think they were at the wit's end. I never predicted United loss. I went with 2-1 Everton, so...
Did you?
So at least I got the win right.
It's 1-0. Yeah, I think it's going to be back to the wall for long periods of this game, but if we could get an early goal, I think that would be great. A bit like Sunday, you look back at Goodison Park, and I think getting that first goal was vital. It just shut them up. It just silenced the crowd. This will be a different, kettle of fish altogether. In that, even you score a goal against these this evening, it would probably antagonise them even more. It'll really wind them up. Got
some quotes in, which is good from Ten Hag. On the weather conditions, he says, Manchester weather, we are used to it.
Yeah, we are.
Bit of banter from Ten Hag, love to see it. On why Martial isn't starting, Ten Hag said, Anthony Martial did a great job in Everton, but he has to get used to playing games in a row more. Rasmus has scored 5 times already in the Champions League, and we want to use his speed. So basically just saying he don't want to risk injury, I think, there, and obviously Hojlund's well up to the job of being striker because he's done so well. And he says as well, I like this from Ten Hag, a little bit of attitude. I said to the team, I want to hear the Galatasaray fans whistling, because when they whistle, it means that we have the ball, and that means that we can control the game.
Yeah.
So I like that, using the atmosphere
90-odd minutes.
to your advantage. I really like that from Ten Hag. So you're going with a 1-0
cagey
win. Who's going to score?
I'm going to have to go with Hojlund.
Hojlund,
yes,
love that.
Have to.
And I'm going to go with a 2-1. I always go 2-1 nowadays because I just don't trust us to keep a clean sheet. 2-1 Manchester United. I'll go Hojlund and Garnacho goals.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to go with.
Fresh from the back of his overhead kick at the weekend.
Yeah, could you imagine if he scored another one?
Yeah.
Last couple of super chats. Alan Casey says, why not play another way, 3-4-2-1 or diamond 4-2-3-1, since Sir Alex D is going nowhere in a hurry. We have flexible players. I don't like the diamond, gonna be honest.
No, never a big fan.
Darren Mulaney says, I would have started Palestri, then... Oh, I've done that one already, so thank you for the chats there. Is everyone feeling a win in the chat? Just before Mark goes live, I just want to see what you guys are thinking.
I'd say it'll be a mixed bag, I really do. I think there'll be some people that have looked at the team.
Lineup, won't they?
Yeah.
Well, Mark is live now, Kev.
He is.
So great build-up show again. Yeah. Pleasure to be on a show with you. And let's hope our predictions of a win, the two positive people on the United States,
yeah, we are.
come through and we can keep our Champions League hopes alive. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to Sam for bringing us the team news. Thanks to the producer. Thanks to everybody involved. Hit a like on the video on your way out and head over to Mark's watch-along. Come on, United.
Come on, United.